AARP North Dakota members, friends, partners, and others who are interested in Vital Voices, which is a comprehensive research program that AARP conducts, where it collects and shares state-specific data to identify issues that matter to North Dakota's older adults. In 2023, AARP conducted a survey of 703 people over the age of 45 in North Dakota. And I'm Josh Askvig, State Director of AARP North Dakota. And with me today to talk about the importance of independence and aging in place is Dr. Aisha Bonner Cozad, who is the Senior Research Manager with AARP. Aisha, always good to talk to you.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for having me.
So, Aisha, one of the things that I know you want to talk about, but that just jumps off the page when we look at the multitude of things we asked about was North Dakotans love their communities and they want to stay in their communities. So can you talk a little bit about the data?
Absolutely. So when we looked at an area, we sometimes refer to it as livable communities or independent living. We noticed that North Dakota residents rate their communities as good or very good places to live. And so it really makes sense that 7 in 10 would prefer to receive care for themselves or loved ones in their home, in the community that they like living in. We also know that about 2/3, 65% of North Dakota residents age 45 plus are either currently providing or have provided care in the past to an adult relative or friend. This survey also showed us that 79% of North Dakotan residents want to have services available to age in place, and 78 want to stay in their homes as they age.
So, Aisha, can you talk about, is this just a North Dakota trend? Is this a national trend? How does this data about people being interested in aging in place show up? Like, how does North Dakota stack compared to North Dakota's opinions on this issue stack up compared to other places around the country?
Sure. So AARP has a really profound interest in the concept of aging in place. We've been tracking this data in this particular area for decades. Over time, the enthusiasm for aging in place has significantly increased. There's a strong desire among individuals to remain in their communities and to continue residing in their homes. And this trend is not limited to specific regions. Rather, it is prevalent across the entire country. The data might be slightly different in different places, but it's very high. I mean, definitely more than the majority. So this is being able to stay in your home, having the resources to stay in your home, having the support to stay in your home. These are things that the American public wants.
So is there a difference? You said there's not a difference across the regions across the country. Is there an urban or rural difference in that data, either in North Dakota or elsewhere?
So this is one of the things that always tickles me, right? Because when you think about the public discourse, there's so much ascribed to either living in a rural or an urban place, as if the people there are somehow fundamentally different and what they need is fundamentally different. But that is not the truth. The fact of the matter is, when we talk to people in urban and rural and all the other types of geography, when we talk to people, when we ask them about the things that they want, they tell us the same things. They want to send their kids to good schools. They want to have jobs that allow them to live comfortably. They want to live in a place that is beautiful and safe. These are the things that people want, and they want them no matter where they live. And the same is true. People in rural places, even though they do often move as they get older for health because they don't have access to the health care they need, that's not what they want. They want to stay in their homes, and they want the resources to be able to do that no matter where they live.
And it's an important part of the work we do to try and support rural aging in place as well with partners. But I know there's another piece, and I know it was briefly showed on the screen earlier, but I think we can show this last piece about getting places and the idea of it kind of reinforces the independence piece. You want to talk a little bit about this slide?
Sure. So the big news here, when you look at the data, 81% of respondents said that getting places independently is important. And I do work in that area of research for AARP, and so I've been looking at this data for a while, and I've always found it curious. But contextually, when you think about the United States, we are a car driving country. We have had a love affair with the car for a very long time. And so there is certainly a desire, a preference for most Americans to be able to transport themselves under their own volition, right? Whether it's driving their own car, having a bus stop that they feel comfortable and safe using, having public transit that's safe and accessible for people all throughout the lifespan. However, riding their bike, riding their motorcycle, whatever it is, people want to be able to determine for themselves when and where they go someplace. And that certainly bears itself out in the data from North Dakota. So it's not a surprise to see that data, but again, I think it reinforces all of the other data points about aging in place, and you know, living aging over time. We just I think politicians really need to wake up and see what the people are asking for. They want these opportunities to live life on their own terms.
Aisha, I appreciate that. And I think, again, it goes to reinforce the work we're doing in North Dakota as a result of this data. You know, we've been starting to do more and more local advocacy on what makes communities great for all. So advocating to support public transit when it's needed, looking at how do we support and help reinforce housing options for individuals to stay in their communities and age in place in both rural and urban North Dakota communities. North Dakota urban is a different urban than a lot of places around the country, as you well know, and we've talked about this many times. I think the other thing we've done, and while we didn't talk about it a ton here, if folks want to dig into the data more, there's a ton of caregiving that happens in North Dakota, and so raising the importance of caregiving needs, caregiving resources, caregiving planning. I can tell you, a staff of 5 people in North Dakota, all of us have our own caregiving stories that we've been providing care for an old loved one that needs that assistance to stay safe and independent. We specifically worked during the last legislative session to support funding for accessible and affordable housing, access to a safe and affordable long-term care services, supporting enhanced senior nutrition funding, enhancements to the Aging and Disability Resource Link, and other things to help those 62,000 unpaid caregivers that do that labor of love every day. And then, well, I mentioned this, I think it's worth also calling to attention. We have great partners with AARP in the national office, A through U, and this type of research, but also I want to call out our Livable team that really helps us support communities being better for everyone. We call it our Livable work. We work with the Livable team, but we do a program every year, and it's currently open. If you're watching this before March 6th of 2024, there's currently an application period open for what we call the AARP Community Challenge Grants. Since 2017, the Community Challenge Grants program has funded over 1,300 projects nationwide, 25 of them in North Dakota, over $200,000, actually over $214,000 in North Dakota communities. And they've been projects that are everything from adult exercise equipment in city parks to helping a small town grocery store shift its service to self-service to make sure it can stay open and provide adequate groceries and resources for folks to be able to stay in those communities as well. And so, Aisha, I love digging into the data. We, as you know, and I think you can attest to, we use this data to help drive our work and decide the type of work we're going to do. And I think your point is not lost on me about helping policymakers and others pay attention, because older adults are a growing trend even in North Dakota.
Absolutely. As always, pleasure to be with you, Josh.
Thanks, Aisha.